Hello everyone. In this video we will learn about one of the main concepts of object-oriented programming, polymorphism, and its types. The word polymorphism means having many forms. It is a combination of poly and morphs. It's a Greek word. In simple words, we can define polymorphism as the ability of a message to be displayed in more than one form. We can see a real-life example of polymorphism. Here you can see a person at the same time can have different characteristics. Like a man at the same time is a father, a husband, and an employee. So the same person possesses different behavior in different situations. This is called polymorphism. Polymorphism is considered as one of the important features of object-oriented programming. In C++, polymorphism is mainly divided into two types, compile-time polymorphism and runtime polymorphism. And compile-time polymorphism is achieved by function overloading and operator overloading, whereas runtime polymorphism can be achieved by function overriding by the help of virtual functions. In compile-time polymorphism, the overloaded functions are invoked by matching the type and number of arguments. This information is available at the compile time, so compiler selects the appropriate function at the compile time only. Compile time polymorphism is achieved by function overloading and operator overloading, which is also known as static binding or early binding. Now let's discuss function overloading. When there are multiple functions with same name but different parameters, then these functions are said to be overloaded. Functions can be overloaded by change in number of arguments or change in type of arguments. So we can achieve function overloading by changing number of arguments or by changing type of arguments. Now we will see a C++ program for function overloading. This program demonstrates the concept of function overloading. Here the class name is overload. In public section of this class, I have declared three functions with same name. The function name is disp. So I have defined three functions with same name. You can see these three functions. Here the change in the number of arguments and type of arguments. Here only one argument is there of type int. Here the argument is of type double. Here two arguments are there of type integer. So you can see the change in number of arguments and type of arguments. And these three functions are defined to display the value of the parameter passed to the functions. Which function is called by the object will depend on the parameter passed to the function. Here I have defined an object obj1 of class overload, and I have called three functions. An object obj1. So here obj1.disp5, here I am passing one parameter of type int. So first function will be called over here. By this statement I am passing one parameter 2.14 of type double. So this second function will be called by the compiler over here. Here I am passing two parameters of type int 4 and 6. So this third function will be called by the compiler. Now let us execute this program. You can see the result. Now let us go back to our slides to learn about operator overloading. C++ also provides option to overload operator. By operator overloading, we can give additional meaning to operators. For example, we can make the operator plus for string class to concatenate two strings. As we all know, this plus sign is used for adding two integer operands or two floating point operands. So this single operator plus, when placed between integer operands, it adds them, and when it placed between string operands, it concatenates them. In the process of operator overloading, we first create a class. In the process of operator overloading, we first create a class that will define the data types that is to be used in the process of operator overloading. Then we will declare a function by the help of operator keyword in the public part of the class. OP is the function name or the operator name which is going to overload. This function can be a member function or a friend function. Then we will define this function operator OP to implement the process of operator overloading. Now we will see the structure of operator overloading function. Return type of the function, class name, scope resolution operator keyword, and function name. We will pass some argument to this function, and here comes the function body. Now let's discuss the rules for operator overloading. We can only overload the. Now we will see rules for operator overloading. So first rule is we can only overload the operator which are predefined by the C++. These operators can be unary or binary, and the function may be a member function of the class or a friend function, and we cannot change the original meaning of the operator. And the most important rules are a friend function will have only one argument for unary operators. If we are going to overload unary operator by the help of friend function, then it will have only one argument. And if we are going to overload binary operators by using friend function, then it will have two arguments. And in the case of member function, the member function will have no argument for unary operators and one argument for binary operators. So we need to keep these rules in our mind. Now let us see one example of operator overloading by using member function as well as friend function. In this example, we are going to overload operator plus. As you all know, operator plus is an addition operator that can add two numbers, either integer number or floating point. But here the operator plus, we will use operator plus to perform addition of two imaginary or complex numbers. The complex number we know in the form of a plus ib. So we will take two integer variable int r comma I, r for real number and I for imaginary part of that number. In this program we will overload operator plus. Operator plus is known as addition operator, which is used to add two integer numbers or two floating point numbers. But here we will use operator plus to add two complex numbers. Complex numbers are in the form of a plus ib, where a is the real part of that number and b is the imaginary part of that number. So here the name of class is complex. I am going to declare two integer variable r comma I. R will represent the real part of that number and I will represent the imaginary part of that number. Now in the public section of this class, I am going to define my parameterized constructor and one function display to display the values. So this is my parameterized constructor. It is taking two arguments a and b, and we will assign the value of a to r and b to I. And this void display function is to display the complex number in the form of r plus I, a plus ib. Now I am going to declare and define the function for operator overloading. So complex is the return type of my function. Then operator keyword, I am going to overload plus operator, and as I am going to define this function, this operator overloading function by the help of member function, So it will take only one argument. Complex is the return type and C1 is my argument. In this operator overloading function, I am going to write the logic for writing two complex numbers. Here I am taking TMP as a temporary variable of type complex. So we will add real part of two complex number and we will store the result in tmp.r, and in the imaginary part tmp.i we will add imaginary part of two complex number and we will store it in tmp.i and we will return tmp. Now I am going to write int main function. I will take three objects of type complex C1, C2, C3. We will add C1 and C2 and store in the C3. So we have taken parameterized constructor. We need to pass two parameters and passing 2 and 3 as a parameter to object C1 and 3 and 4 parameter to object C2. Now in C3 we don't need to pass any argument because in C3 we will collect the result of C1 plus C2. But as we have defined parameterized constructor and here I am not passing any parameter, so it will generate error. So we have to define one default constructor. Default constructor I will define here, and there is no need to write anything over here. So I have defined one default constructor. Now I can take C3 without parameter. Now I will display the value of object 1 by calling display function on object 1 C1, the value of object C2 by calling display function on object C2, and in C3 we will add C1 plus C2 and then we will display the value of object C3, the result. Then return C2. So let's execute this. Display C2. Here is the result: 2 plus I3, our first object, 3 plus I4, the second object, and C3, the resultant object. Now we will see this program by using friend function. So some changes we have to make when we will define this program by using friend function. So first, friend function we will define outside the class. First we will declare the friend function. Friend complex is my return type. Then operator keyword plus is the operator I am going to overload. Then in the case of friend function it will take two parameter. This is the declaration of my friend function. Now outside the class I am going to define it. So complex operator plus, there is no need to write friend keyword again, then complex C1 and complex C2. And here this R will come from C1.R and this will be C2.R. This is C1.I, it will be C2. So these are the only changes we need to make. If we are going to use a friend function for operator overloading, now let us execute this. You can see the same result. Okay. Then runtime polymorphism we will discuss in the next video.